what do you call it? Kind of a program where it's a pilot program. They're putting it out over a lot of different places. And I've done this before. Modern secular meditation based on a little Buddhist background. Sounds nice for the modern world, huh?
So it looks like we don't have anyone right now.
It's okay. Yes, we do.
Yeah, on the Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I always think of all beings too. Sorry, a little Buddhist. Yeah. Not a bad one though, huh? Mm-hmm. How's your mom?
Good. Yeah, she just messaged me because my cousin's getting married.
Oh.
Yeah.
Felicitaciones. That's great.
Yeah.
How are you? Everybody's getting little cookies in. I'm going to start with a little meditation. If people come on, they can just join, right? And we're going to do a stabilizing meditation. I just want to speak for a minute. Are we recording? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So in neurology and neuropsychology, we talk about how important the breath is for getting us out of what's called a sympathetic nervous response. So most of our modern world is kind of a sympathetic nervous response. That's on the fight or flight, a little bit on the edge, not completely relaxed. And the parasympathetic is when we're sitting around at Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's not the best example. Sitting around, gonna have a nice dinner, gonna feast, gonna sit back, chill, relax. There's no saber-toothed tiger threatening us. Eat as much as we want, relax, talk. That's the parasympathetic. So the breath quickly goes into one or the other. So I've taught this before, just the three, they call it 3 cleansing breaths or 3 deep breaths, but they're really critical for getting us out of that sympathetic nervous system. And a lot of times when I teach it to people, I can see they're not taking the full breath. So when you go, you start with a kind of like the belly starts to rise, and then the mid chest, and then the shoulders. You can imagine air there. You're just taking in a full breath. And then when you breathe it out, it's kind of like I teach little kids. Imagine like a balloon or a tire that's slowly letting its air out. Because when you can do a long, slow, deep exhale, you're sliding right into the parasympathetic. Okay. So let's just do that for 3 rounds, and let's just go, 3 breaths. Let's do it kind of slowly, okay? Anybody else is on this Zoom? No, they're out at party.
Not today. So I could, if it's distracting, I could.
No, because they might be trying to come in late.
Okay.
I'm okay with people coming in late. If they don't come either, it's up to them. Okay, so at your own pace, just slowly breathe in. Try to do it through the nose and keep the mouth closed, and just imagine allowing it slowly to fill up the belly and the mid part of your chest, and then by your shoulders, your lungs completely filling, however long you need to take, and then slowly release it out through your nose. Sometimes people do need to use their mouth if they're a little congested or they can't get all the air out. And do 2 more of those. That's it. I can see people are doing it now. It's much deeper than usual. Then slowly release. Okay. Now you can stay where you are, your eyes closed or slightly open. And what I'm going to invite you to do is direct your attention to the piece of skin right below your nostrils, where you can feel the air coming in and out. Between your mouth and your nostrils. If you can't notice it there, then notice it inside your nostrils. But let's just rein our attention in. Usually you feel a little bit more on the out breath. Maybe you can feel it on the in breath too. It can be very relaxing to just rest your attention in that space between the upper lip and your nostril. And keep returning to that over and over again. Check now to see where your attention is. If it's distracted, be kind to yourself and walk back. The feeling of the breath as it comes in and comes out of your nostrils. Just rest your attention there. Focus all your attention on that sensation. And then when you're ready, bring your attention back to the tip of your nose and your toes. And then open your eyes when you're ready and we'll start talking about the topic. One way you can tell that that's working is if you have a general sense of your body of being a little bit more relaxed and focused. Right? Some people really get very relaxed by just noticing right here, or you can do it inside your nostrils. Okay? Trying to give you a number of different ways of doing the stabilization meditation, so you can pick one that you like best. Okay. Somehow I think there's a connection issue. I think.
Oh.
I don't know if you want to email folks and
It
check.
should be the same link that we use.
Oh, then no problem. Okay, I'm going to keep talking. They can listen to it if they want. Maybe you can email them, let them know they can listen to it. Anybody know the topic for tonight? on the list?
What is that, joyfulness? Last time?
Yes, the light,
Like,
the light. I love this life skill. It's wonderful. It means a joyfulness. It means being happy, and it's an emotion. Rejoicing is actually an emotion over the goodness of something. Okay, so it's around virtue, right? It wouldn't be around being happy that your ex-boyfriend went to jail or something. It's nothing like that. It needs to be in the camp of virtue for it to count. Sometimes rejoicing happens when we're relieved over something, right? Like you're on the phone call with some relatives back east and you go, oh, I'm so relieved. I'm so happy that the hurricane didn't hit your family, right? Or cousin or a friend comes out of surgery and you're so relieved. You're rejoicing. It's like a relief to it, like, oh, thank goodness, we're so happy for you. Right? Or you can rejoice in your own good behavior, your own good qualities, right? Now, rejoicing, it has effects on us neurologically too. Rejoicing reduces depression, it reduces anxiety, and it keeps us kind of open. And it's a little contagious, isn't it? When you walk into, I don't know, maybe not the hospital is a good example. But again, something good, something has changed from bad to good, and everybody's rejoicing. Kind of infectious, isn't it? Right? Now we have this thing called the amygdala, center of the brain. I think I mentioned it before. It's kind of like our emotion regulation center. You know about the amygdala, right? There's lots of research out there about it. And when we're upset, or in a hurry, or we're rushed, or we're negative, or angry, or whatever, the amygdala is kind of revved up, right? Whenever the bad news is on, and we're really into it, rest assured your amygdala is a little revved up, and you're a little bit in that kind of sympathetic nervous system, not the parasympathetic. Well, this is the opposite. Rejoicing turns that, flips it right on its head. That's why you see on the news right at the very end, they're like, there's good news tonight. And they'll show you something, some kind of good news, right? Trying to leave you not so depressed. So rejoicing, what we do is we do the opposite of the bad news or the negative news. And we also use it to work against two negative emotions that can really harm us. Guess what they are?
Fear is gonna be one.
Fear can be one of them. Fear can be one. There's no doubt about that. What they use in the traditional trainings with this, with rejoicing, is, oh, these little sneaky, pesty ones of envy and jealousy. Because when we rejoice in other people, like you're walking down the street and you see a big house and you live in a little box, which I've lived in boxes. I've been like them more than my big house I'm in now. But anyway, you walk down the street and you go, oh, you know, you can get upset and get jealous, right? Or you can rejoice in what they have. There's all kinds of things about other people, their wit, their intelligence, their role, their finances, that we can put ourselves into a lot of misery over, can't we? Right? The comparing, right? The envy and the jealousy. This is a protective measure against envy and jealousy in particular. And it keeps us uplifted and creates a lot of, happiness and becomes infectious. Okay? Some of our best role models are rejoicing are the little ones, the kids, right? You walk into a schoolyard and what do you hear? You might hear it in your neighborhood, this pealing of laughter that's just like, doesn't it wrap a little ribbon around your heart? You know, it's so spontaneous and natural and in the moment too. So when we're rejoicing, we're not focused on, we're not letting that envy and that jealousy dictate us. We're flipping it right on its head. Okay? It takes practice. And one reason why I taught you that meditation is because that kind of meditation can get us out of the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic. We can get into a more spaciousness. And then when you start practicing rejoicing, this is so stinking cool. You start looking for things in other people to rejoice over. You can have nothing. You can have no money, no job, no friends. You can walk around and see people who do have jobs, who do have money, who have friends, and you're so happy for them. And what you do is there's a mirroring neuron that goes on. You can imagine what it's like for them. And what happens to you when you do that? What happens? Make you happy or make you
I
miserable?
felt a softness a little bit inside.
You thought of,
Well, just when I could be happy for someone else.
yeah. It's such a cool skill. I want to invite you all to practice it a lot this week and see what happens. It does take time. We have to allow it to bubble up. And one caution I put in, this is from my psychology work. If for, say, example, I'm sorry, I have to chew on these because I cough a lot, so I have to keep my reactive coughing from happening. Sometimes I've worked with teens and young adults, mostly teens because I'm mostly with kids. And teaching them rejoicing, I've done it before. But let's just say you had a lot of disappointment as a kid. I'm giving you a little warning here that sometimes when you do these practices, there can be things that can bubble up that you need what I call, it's kind of like a compartmentalization where you want to be happy for somebody, but you have an old hurt. I'm saying an old disappointment or something. Give yourself space to go somewhere else and cry about it. And then come back to your rejoicing chair, wherever you meditate. Does this make sense? I don't think it's good to discount old feelings. A lot of people had disappointment when they were a kid. A lot of people. We need to leave space for it, or teenage years especially. Oh my God, who makes it through the teenage years alive? We make it through alive, but oh my goodness. Does this make sense what I'm saying? So I don't want to be kind of like somebody else was talking about this before about not being too campy, too Pollyanna. Totally give yourself space for that. So I'm going to have you talk for a few minutes. What you're going to be talking about is thinking about ideas of looking for the next week, things you can rejoice in others. Because what we're going to do when we do the meditation tonight is going to help create another neural pathway for you. So talk amongst yourselves, like 5 minutes, right? 10 minutes, and come up with ideas. It can be, and it's really good. You don't have to say to anybody. Really good, especially if it's something you're jealous of. So don't say that aloud. There's somebody who thinks is better looking or has a better job, or what else? What other examples? Somebody with better sense of humor, or they have a skill.
Looking.
Huh?
Better looking.
Better looking. All that stuff. Right? We torture ourselves with it, the envy and the jealousy. Whereas if we could rejoice in what they have and we don't have, we get to have a piece of it without having to do all the work. Let's say you were a failed politician, and then instead of, being a sore loser or whatever, you were rejoicing in your political friend who was winning. You win from that too. You get a piece of it. You don't have to have the big house. You walk by and you rejoice in these people having a big house. You don't have to clean it. To pay for. See what I mean? But we're rejoicing in what other people have or what other people enjoy. Yeah? Somebody's coming on. Alice, I think, huh? So go ahead. I'll give you 7 minutes now. I'm going to pull into a closer group. And I'll leave you be. Is Alice you? I'll leave you for a couple.
Well, this is gonna be a new neural pathway for me, because when she talks about rejoicing and having, I mean, the first thing that came into my mind is, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life, is when I thought I lost my wallet and then I found my wallet. Have you ever had a happier feeling than finding your wallet? That's rejoicing.
Yeah.
So to rejoice for somebody else is good for it, then it's a good thing. But I can't think of anything that makes you happier. Involved.
It was just at my son's cross-country meet, and they're rejoicing for each other,
Oh, yeah, that's
cheering each
teamwork.
other on, and
Yeah,
they're like this super fast kid. Really excited for him.
oh, that's great. I bet that would be part of teamwork.
But even for like the other schools teams, they were like cheering those people on. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I might as well listen in. I'm right here.
Well, then, can I ask you a question?
You just did. I'm gonna ask another one.
That's funny. So it seems to me like rejoicing is only for other people, not for your own good fortune. Is that right?
No. It's, you can rejoice in your own good fortune. I think we have to be careful with that because we can get into pride, right? Oh, look what I have. Rejoicing means that we're happy about something that's positive and virtuous. So it can be about ourselves. It lift us up, you know? Like if I just helped somebody who was homeless, or I don't know, anybody else think of an example, something you could do that you would feel,
A positive reaction to something.
yeah. Like you helped a friend, you listened to a friend, you helped someone, and you can rejoice in that. You can be happy about your act that was really loving and kind. Now, there's something more powerful about doing it around others, because there's only, I'm giving away the quote at the end of the night. His Holiness has said, this is only one of me. And yeah, we do a lot of virtuous things. But think about the world, all these beings that do virtuous things. You can just keep thinking. If you sit there and you think nonstop about the wonderful things of people that you admire or know about, check out what happens to the brain chemistry. Check out, if you're a little bit moody, what happens to it. It changes it, it alters it. But you benefit, and they benefit because when they're around you, they can feel different. That makes sense?
Mhm.
So the positive thing about rejoicing about other people, especially if you see envy come up, if I was just like, oh, I can't wear, I love her earrings. Just making this up. Like if there's something I wanted, no? Oh, I really would like to have that young shape that Isabel has, you know? Instead just going, oh, how wonderful. She has a young, healthy body. I hope she has a long life. I'm happy for her. Instead of going, this old body's not gonna last. You know, see how the difference in the quality of the mind? You know? Women can get out of like jealousy or envy, and men too, around looks or status or whatever. You go to work and somebody at work got a raise, or somebody else gets attention. This one we all know. Somebody you know gets attention and you're ignored. You can go down, or you can go, how wonderful. I wonder what it's like for them. How wonderful. They must have done something in their relationships to make that happen. And you rejoice in it and you're happy about it. So they win, and then you win, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Tamara, you have a look on your face like, you know.
Well, I'm just thinking, if you got a frenemy,
Frenemy?
and so she gets invited and you don't.
Yeah,
And I mean, it really is about envy, isn't it?
yes, it is.
And how do you overcome that? And really feel it. I mean, I really want to be happy for her.
Such a perfect question for tonight's meditation.
Yeah.
It is such a perfect question because that's the kind of meditation we're going into. But we have to train our minds to see things differently.
Oh, well, you see something which is not right. Let's say someone did win something, but see other people suffer because they did win that and it's not right. I think then you should maybe speak up, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's a different
So-
topic though.
If
Yeah,
they
I know.
cheated, yeah.
Yeah, something so you say, okay, but I'm sorry, it's
Yeah.
not right. Because I can see that you do this all the time and then you don't change something because you feel mostly happy about everything. I mean, in the extreme, but I think it's also the responsibility to watch out for the truth and to be.
So there's a little bit of concern that comes from that question that what if I rejoice too much, then I may let things go that need to be dealt with. And so they're two different things. One is if there's wrong going on in the world, of course, in my job, I don't work hardly at all anymore, but I've done many, many child abuse reports. I just had to do a report on an adult for somebody I know who's disabled, who's being abused. I've done the reports because you need to step in, you need to do something. That's a totally different subject. We wouldn't rejoice in that, would we?
No, you wouldn't.
That is nothing to rejoice about. It's a good point. It's like if you walk into a restaurant bar and they're on the TV, they're like, yay, they killed they put some guy to death. Well, from this practice, they'd say, that's not the kind of rejoicing we're talking about. Only in the rejoicing around what people have and exude or the quality of them that's positive. That your mind goes, I want that. And instead of wanting it, you can benefit from, you can enjoy it. You can enjoy it yourself without having to own it or possess it. That makes sense? Status, intelligence, position, attention from others. The list goes on and on and on. Right? Qualities that other people have that are positive, people's sense of humor. What else? So many things. So many things that we can rejoice in. What happens to your mind? It just is just like, starts getting floaty. Very happy.
I do want to say something to that.
Sure.
I feel like because in society, especially Western society, but just human beings in general, where it's kind of been this continuous theme of having to assimilate to each other instead of honoring our individuality and honoring the dynamic, diverse aspects of what it means to be a human being, and that each person is unique in its form, and instead of like having to what's the word I'm looking for? Not assimilate, but yeah, become like what's that
Some
word?
image or something.
Yeah, it's yeah, basically just having to be the same, having to be similar instead of honoring the diversity and individuality.
How does that relate to rejoicing for you?
Like, because so how it relates is that I feel like when we experience envy or jealousy, we see like an aspect of ourselves within that person, and instead of rejoicing in like the diversity and the uniqueness of their expression of that thing, that quality that lies within them, we want to like attain it and become that, because we're being told in society, this constant narrative that we have to be
Competitive.
competitive, to compare. Yeah, but that we just have to like, all just,
Fit a mold or?
yeah,
Well,
to-
that
to
makes it-
fit one mold instead of being unique. And
Yes.
That's a good way to think of it, actually.
I just wanted to share in the
Yeah,
many
that's
things
nice.
we're
Yeah. To see the plethora of the good qualities. Again, this is about what people have that's good, positive, healthy, that we can rejoice in. So again, we can rejoice in our own good qualities. There's no reason why not. What's wrong with that? That's not ego. There's nothing wrong with that. That's healthy. If you see something positive, we can rejoice in that. And we can rejoice in what others have that we don't. And just keep the mind focused on how wonderful for them. How wonderful. And especially like if you don't get invited to a party, because that's what one of the things we're going over tonight. Party. Alice, is she on?
She hasn't said anything yet, but I did
Can
speak
she,
to her in the chat.
can you ask her to unmute if she wants to share anything? Maybe she's just listening. Maybe she's just rejoicing in our conversation. Feels like she can't participate because she's muted.
Okay. I've sent her a message and asked us to unmute. We'll see.
Okay.
Oh,
Can she hear us okay? There she is. Hi, Alice.
Hi.
okay, try again.
Hello.
Hi, you want to come? You can come on screen if you want. It's up to you.
How to? Let me see. Where's I'm outside right now.
You're outside right now?
Yes.
Outside of the building?
And there's no light here.
Oh, you're outside where you are.
Maybe.
So,
Did you want to
but I
ask?
can hear you. I can hear you guys. Okay.
Oh, good. Did you want to add something before we move on to the meditation?
Uh, not right now.
Okay. Okay. You're in our circle. Okay, let's do a meditation. And move into meditation. Excuse me. Okay, rest your hands on your lap or your legs. And for a few moments, turn your attention back to the breath as we did before. Just noticing the breath as it comes in and out of your nostrils. Just follow that for a few moments, resting in that exact spot where you're focusing. And now let's turn our attention to the skill of delight and rejoicing in the goodness of ourselves and others. Is this just something to feel good about, or does it serve a purpose in our lives? The 16 guidelines puts an emphasis on our ability to be able to rejoice in the good fortune of others. So we can consciously develop this capacity to feel uplifted and happy when something good takes place for another person. or when they have a certain quality, and it can bring powerful results for ourselves and those who we are around as well. The skill can also, fill our own lives with this positive energy, so we can practice it during the week, can uplift others and put a spark in their lives too. So think about the opportunities that you might have this coming week, between now and next week. Where and how can you seek out rejoicing in the good fortune of others? Be kids playing in the park, be somebody listening intently to someone, an illness being done for someone. So many ways that people have good fortune that we can rejoice in it. Think about some ways that you might be able to see it this week and practice it. And bring to mind right now whatever you want to think of something good happening with someone you know or someone you can think about, maybe even in the TV world, somebody real who's having something good happen in their lives, or someone in your life. See if you can allow your body to experience that rejoicing. And don't hurry, just let it bubble up on its own and then enjoy it. How does this experience of delight make you feel? Do you observe any changes in your body from before you started to have delight for them? And let's go a little bit deeper, because delight can also act as a direct antidote to those little pesky feelings of envy and jealousy. Everybody has those feelings sometimes. So the practice of delight can really help us out. Let's do this exercise. Let's give it a try. Bring to mind an event that you really wanted to attend but you couldn't. Maybe a holiday, party, or sometime you were excluded, or someone got to go and you didn't. Just try to recall that, or something else that made you feel not so good. We brought up a little envy or jealousy that others could enjoy, but you couldn't. Others had and you didn't have. Try to recall it now and just see if you can pick one to focus on. An event would be okay if you could. See if you can bring forth, just for the sake of this practice, that envy or discomfort or jealousy. Okay. Any tension in your body, just notice it and maybe even breathe into a little bit as you consider the details of the event or the thing you missed. Where it was, who was there, who wasn't there. If strong feelings come up, just remind yourself you can either deal with them later, or you can remind yourself that it's not happening. You're just doing this in imagination. Okay, now let's shift the view. Okay, let's go back to that event or that thinking that we have about what someone else has or whatever. Maybe to all the people who were there in your absence, or maybe you being left out. But put your own feelings of disappointment or envy, put them on a back burner just for now. And see if we can really do this just for the sake of this practice. And instead, let the power of your mind imagine what it might have been like for others to have had this fortune. See if you can let your mind glow with this positive thought and focus on what others were enjoying, whatever they were receiving or taking part in. And just see if you can just observe it and enjoy it. Try to spend a moment focusing as strongly as you can on their feelings of pleasure, satisfaction, their confidence, or whatever it is. And be glad for them. Relish in their joy or their happiness. Stay with this. Once you find it and you start experiencing it, see if you can expand it. How wonderful you get to do or have whatever. As you're having this delight, notice your body. Notice the sensations around your eyes, your mouth, your shoulders, hands, stomach. And if it's very pleasant, just soak it up and keep thinking about how wonderful you get to have that experience. You can replay this in your mind right now as much as you want because it's good for you neurologically. You're creating a different pathway. At first, this can feel odd and artificial, but with time, it gets easier. Stay with that experience. How wonderful you get to experience that for the other person. Okay, and then put a pause button on that and tell yourself you can practice it tonight again when you go home. Now, I'd like to ask you to think about somewhere you can practice this week. Or maybe it's a party you will get invited to. Maybe it's a trip that someone else gets to take. Maybe there's some time this week you'll be in traffic at the other side of the road. People won't be in traffic. That happens around here. Maybe your coworker, your friend, your boss, your partner, your kid will get more attention than you this week. Maybe your husband will be liked more for some quality that you don't feel like you have. So if you can think of any examples that you can prime yourself for now in the meditation that you will choose to turn to rejoicing for that person or people. And then make a conscious choice. I'm going to drop this focus on me. I'm going to drop the comparisons. I'm going to drop the poor me. And see if it's a relief to drop it. Make a decision. I'm going to be gleeful. I'm going to be happy about what others have. And even the thought of that sometimes can bring a rush of wonderful feelings in our body. Doing this practice, it frees us. It flips us away from envy and jealousy. Frees us from it, really. It gives us a resilience. It guards us from these negative emotions. That allows us to be like those little kids in the playground. Spontaneous and in the moment. Happy about what others have. Just think you just created a new neural pathway. And the more you practice it, the stronger it will get. The light is one of the most radical, powerful, transformative tools that we possess. And it was the Dalai Lama who said, well, if I'm only happy for myself, there are many fewer chances for happiness. If I'm happy when good things happen to other people, there's billions more chances to be happy. So may this practice, delight, take over in your lives. Thank you very much. And then, when you're ready to come out of that, then we can talk. I'm sure there's going to be something this week. I have to hear about it next week. How was that?
I saw two situations. One was easy because I was in two cases I wasn't invited, kind of. But one case was I could understand, and I felt so wonderful for the person. The other thing was more hurtful, and but I was not. I wouldn't say it was. I was jealous. It was more sadness. So
Rejection.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't think it was jealousy, but still same kind of, right? You could. So I tried to do that, and yeah, it helped to get a better point of view when you flip it around, and then it's better. Yeah, it's freeze. So I will try this more often now in difficult situations.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Again, I just want to quickly caution that if there's feelings that are bubbling up that need to be released, there's a grief. Sometimes people hold a grief because there's these things called tendrils in psychology. Back to people have themes in their lives, and we tend to reenact them in the world. Rejection one could be one. Rejection one is a theme, and so it's happening, and then you have the sadness, right? Or fear. Sometimes you need to give, like I said, a separate space or chair for that. And then you practice the skills separate from it. If you need to cry, serious, I'm very serious about this, even for adults. Or release it, usually tears, disappointment. And then build yourself up, right? Because then you're not getting into the struggle with it. Does that make sense? This is just the psychologist part of me talking. You know, like trying to be a good Buddhist when you really, what you need to do is just cry. Or being the good meditator or whatever, the good whatever. We just need to be human first. And then sometimes also, as we're going through life, it's like, how much can we say, okay, that rejected kid or rejected whatever, we don't need to identify with it. So this is an option to identify more with the rejoicer, being the rejoicer.
So for me, having rejoice is to be able to help somebody. When I'm in a position which I cannot help somebody and I see someone else can do it, it's not that I'm being jealous or envy of them. And it says, but it just came to mind, why couldn't I be in a position to help this person give? But then I'm saying, I don't have as much as this guy has to give. But when I look at myself, I say, well, I have whatever I have, I can offer that one for now.
Exactly.
But that's the only, that's an area that I suffer, this other suffer, just like comes to mind that why I cannot provide as much for others, even though I could if I had a different setup.
Very common for men.
Okay.
And is it possible to do both? Give when you can, but to rejoice in the other person who has more, did you say ability or capability to give?
Yeah, but for example, I've been going back and forth between here and the East Coast. I have my friend that got the life set up and have a nice house that they can entertain people, right?
Yes.
But me being up in the air, well, literally I was up in there for 15 years because my son was on that side and I was the same again. So I could not set myself up to go to say, okay, guys, come over to my place. And I know how to entertain, but I don't have the setup to do that. Or
That's right.
sometimes I have friends that are in pain or something of that nature. I definitely help them out. Somebody got kicked in the face by a horse, for example. The whole face was smashed.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm trying to uphold, well, support and help her, and I'm doing that, but I feel like she needs more help, and I want to be authentic to myself, that I don't want to compromise myself as much. So I can give enough where I don't feel bad about offering that much. Anyway, it's getting into maybe a different realm, but that's where I feel the rejoicing mostly in giving. When I cannot do it, it bugs me.
is there anything about this rejoicing in the people who can give when you can't? That
Yeah,
helps you?
actually, that's when I put myself in that position. Oh, I'm glad they could do it.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day I can push myself and get this. I can do this.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
So you can do both. Really.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. I understand. I really do. Anybody else? About the exercise, how it was, any thoughts, any insights?
It's definitely a good thing to practice. Yeah, I pictured myself on a flight. I was uncomfortable in the coach section, and I looked forward and I could see, business class, and they're
Oh, yeah.
just rejoicing in their luck.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great one. And how did you feel? Did you feel better?
Yes.
Just in imagination. Isn't it amazing? Just in imagination. That's the cool
Felt lighter.
stuff.
Lighter.
Felt lighter. Cool. Good stuff.
Than wallowing in my misery.
Right. Right. Remember anything? Share?
Well, that's funny. Gratitude kept coming up because honestly, I just feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world. And if I don't get to go, then I've been spared. So I was kind of thinking that.
And the people who go, can you rejoice in them and
Yeah,
join them?
then I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. That neural pathway isn't quite there yet, but I'm looking at all those people and trying to be happy for them, of course.
It might be something to play with this week.
Mhm.
The objective is to kind of step into the world, what it's like for them.
Mhm.
And you know how like when it's your kid or your family or your whatever who's enjoying it, they're doing well to play or they're enjoying something. It's kind of like we see them as ours.
It's easier than.
Yeah, but we can see anyone as ours, can't we?
Mhm.
If we can see them like, the more we do this, I think the more there are empathy and our perspective taking of them. You don't have to be at the party. You can enjoy just imagining it. You don't have to do the drive. You don't have to deal with the difficulty of it. And you get to enjoy it imagination. I mean, I'm not trying to be campy here. I'm saying that there's some truth to that.
It might be easier with strangers, though, like the people in first class. You didn't know them. You could be happy for them. But if it's somebody closer and she gets it and you don't. I mean, it's harder.
She got bumped.
Right? Yeah, right. So, yeah, right.
It's kind of like attachment to people we're close to is much harder
Yeah.
than,
I think it's easier to be happy for strangers, maybe in some ways.
I would agree
Oh.
with that.
what's that?
I would agree with that.
Okay, so it's easier for you too.
Your friend
Yeah.
runs off with your husband.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough one.
It's interesting because the visualization that I was working with was my ex, like being happy for his new partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we have expectations about people who we're close to be a certain way, boy, we set ourselves up, don't we? Because they're only human, they're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna be betrayed, we're gonna be hurt. And we can either harm ourselves more or we can see how human they are. The more we can see their humanity, the more we can see that they suffer too. Just the same as we do.
Well, but I think the rejoice would be, maybe it's more understanding the person and not rejoices might be a little bit different. I mean, in that case, like for example, if you rejoice the new part, I mean,
Yes,
that's very great, but just having understanding for the situation might be the first step. to go.
exactly. But there's no reason why you can't rejoice in somebody
Yeah.
having a new partner. It might take some time, but the sooner you get the skill down, the more you practice it, then the quicker. Let's say you have 5 partners in your lifetime, I'm making this up, and you're miserable for the first 2. There's no reason why rejoicing can't help you with the last 3 when they leave you. Stuff is gonna happen. We're gonna lose people. We're gonna have suffering. But when we rejoice in other people's fortunes, it's quite neuroprotective. Did he remarry?
He hasn't, but no, it's just a visualization of if he finds another partner.
You're gonna be the bridesmaid. Give me a break.
So nothing's happened yet, but I just, but I was just trying to find something that would like really get under my skin. Then that would be it.
Yeah, I had that too, but I thought then how wonderful that he found someone, because he was also
See?
difficult to find someone who can really be there for him. I thought really I was happy. I didn't have to force myself. I really thought, oh, he found someone. This is great. You know,
That's
so,
the attitude.
yeah. Wow. Well, because it's not the easiest.
It's training the
person,
mind
you
to
know?
see things from a different view.
Yeah.
Because our view is what harms us. Alice, did you want to share something before we close up here? You still outside with no light on?
No, not right now. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello? Hello?
we can hear you, Alice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm okay right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
we're rejoicing in your contentment. Okay, so let's think about people who in the world right now who are suffering mentally, emotionally, maybe people who don't have homes, people who are suffering from financial disasters, loneliness, separation, illness, all kinds of things. And bring them into the circle, and we can dedicate to them and to any of our loved ones. You know, the 3 kind of people, the loved ones, as so-called strangers and so-called enemies, or frenemies, Deborah said. And let's wish them all well. Just dedicate to their well-being and her own well-being. And that may the skill and the practice of delight be shared amongst many, 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 many people, and continue to grow in our own hearts and those of us close to us. And you practice the skill at least once this week. Yeah. Come back with some stories next week. That's our dedication. Take care, Alice, and see you next week. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A quick question. Do you have your own practice? I heard the first session was kind of, yeah, an outside practice.